Christians have been slaughtered by radical Muslims in Nigeria so far this year. 7,000. That's 35 people that have been killed every day this year. Where's the mainstream media? How come they're not talking about that? Radical Islam demands complete obedience, complete, 100%, and will kill you if you dare to speak out against their beliefs and ideologies. This isn't anything new. Muslims have been fighting to wipe out Christians and Jews for centuries. But now the problem isn't just confined to faraway Middle East. It's happening right here in our backyard in 50 states. We're already seeing cities in Michigan, Minnesota being taken over by Sharia law. In Dearborn, Michigan, a Christian pastor recently protested a street was named after a radical Islamist terrorist. The pastor just complained about it. In response, the Muslim mayor of Dearborn told the pastor that he is no longer welcome in the town and will celebrate the day that he leaves. Think about that. A Christian pastor is being silenced here in America for objecting to a taxpayer-funded road being named after a terrorist. We're losing it. Or take what has been happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which has been and seen a massive influx of Somalians moving into their neighborhood. I recently saw a story that absolutely shocked me. More than 75 Somalians have been arrested in a massive scheme where they stole $300 million from a American taxpayer-funded child nutrition program. $300 million. So these Somalian criminals came to Minneapolis. They took advantage of our free schools and our free health care, and then they stole $300 million from American taxpayers right under our noses. Where is the media? Where's the outrage? And where did this money go? Where do you think it went? You guessed it. It went back to Somalia. It's disgusting, and these people should be deported, if not jail for life. In case you're still unclear about the dangers we're facing, here are a few reasons why Sharia law does not work in a Western society like the United States. In America, we value free speech. The U.S. Constitution gives us that right. The First Amendment is what makes this country, America, great. You're allowed to express your opinions publicly without fear of the government arresting you or killing you. But under Sharia law, any criticism that goes against what Muhammad or the Quran says can be punishable by death. Further, under the U.S. Constitution and the First Amendment, equal rights for people of all faiths are protected. Western culture treats everyone equal, regardless of their religious beliefs. Under Sharia law, if you are not a Muslim, you are treated as the enemy. Radical Islam says you can discriminate against and even be violent towards non-Muslims. We see that happening now in Europe, where non-Muslims are being violently attacked every day, all over Europe. It's because Sharia law not only accepts but encourages this type of disgusting behavior. Another major difference between Islam and our Western culture is the way we treat women. In the U.S., marriage happens when a man and woman mutually decide that they want to get married and be with each other. But under Sharia law, older men are allowed to marry 6-year-old girls, which is unbelievable. 6 years old. That's not marriage. In America, we call that pedophilia. But that's just scraping the surface. In Sharia law, women are sold, raped, trafficked, No problem to them. That's their way of life. Women are not allowed to get an education or have a job. They aren't even allowed to leave home without a man escorting them. And women are forced to wear burqas, which cover basically everything but their eyes. Meanwhile, men are allowed to have multiple wives, marry children, and do not have to cover their heads. It makes your blood boil. Not to mention the horrible way that minorities are treated in countries that follow Sharia law. There's no tolerance in these countries. If you live in a country that practices Sharia law and are not Muslim, you're lucky if you aren't thrown in jail or killed. That's because Islam and Sharia law teach that you must hate non-Muslims and should wage jihad, which literally means holy war against people who do not believe. One thing I find particularly ironic is how the left turns a blind eye to the horrible ways LGBT people are treated in countries that follow Sharia law. In countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen, gay people are often given the death penalty. Does that sound like a peaceful, tolerant religion to you? Not me. Unfortunately, this poisonous religion, which I think is closer to a cult, is rapidly growing in this country. Wake up, America. Look no farther than New York, where a radical Islamist, Zohan Mandami, is the front runner to become the next mayor. Mandami has tried everything he can do to hide his radical Islamic beliefs ever since he started campaigning. But he was recently seen in a photo with the co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Think about that. And they're getting ready to elect him mayor. The leading candidate for mayor of New York City is cozying up with an openly jihadist terrorist sympathizer. Where are we going? In New York, if New Yorkers are stupid enough to elect a radical Islamist as their mayor, then they deserve what they get next, and it is coming. I truly believe we're at the crossroads of this country. The time for political correctness is over. That's why I've introduced 2 bills in the Senate to end Sharia law in this country. End it. The first one is No Sharia Act, which makes it illegal to practice Sharia law when it conflicts with our Constitution. As I've repeatedly said, the radical Islam cult is the opposite of everything. I mean everything that we stand for in America. The second bill I introduced, the Preserving a Sharia Law or Sharia-Free America Act, prevents all foreign nationals who advocate for Sharia law from entering this country. No more. If you want to practice that, stay where you're at or go to one of the other 50 countries that practices this. The Trump administration banned people from nearly 50 Muslim countries during the first administration. And thanks to Joe Biden's 4 years of open borders, we now have thousands, I mean thousands of terrorists and their sympathizers who entered our country unchecked. How stupid was that? We have to shut off the spigot before it's too late. This is a major national security threat. Radical Islamists have proven over and over again that they are willing to do whatever it takes to kill just one American citizen. And it didn't just happen overseas. It has been allowed to fester and is alive and well in our very own country, just waiting for the right opportunity to attack. So now is the time to act, because if we don't, we're going to lose this country as we know it. Open your eyes, America. The values of this country was built on cannot coexist with radical Islam. It doesn't work. It's one, our Constitution, or the other. You can't mix them. This isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. This is an American issue. Just look at Europe. We are headed down the same dark path as what Europe's going through now if we don't wake up. We need to permanently shut down Sharia law in this country before it's too late. Wake up, America. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Nevada.
Thank you. Mr. President, Nevadans work hard for their money, really hard, especially right now when they're being squeezed by rising costs as a result of Trump's chaos and his reckless economic policies. Nevadans pay taxes with the expectation that the federal government is going to work for them and provide critical services when they need it. Services that are shamefully being disrupted by the Republican government shutdown. Instead, their taxpayer dollars are being wasted on gold-plated dinners at the White House, count them, two private jets for Kristi Noem, and unbelievably, a potentially multi-million-dollar illegal payment to Donald Trump. So you heard that right. In the middle of a government shutdown that he caused because he refuses to take action to prevent a spike in your health care costs, Donald Trump is seeking $230 million in payment from the Department of Justice for who? Well, for himself. He's going to use your money to pad his own pockets instead of working with Democrats to take action to make sure that you and your family can go to the doctor without breaking the bank. Trump has even acknowledged that, quote, it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself, end quote. And I'm going to go one step further, Mr. President. It's not just strange. It's outrageous. $230 million? All while families are worrying about paying their bills, putting food on the table, and wondering if they'll be able to afford their health insurance for next year. Instead of paying himself, why doesn't Trump put that money towards SNAP benefits, since his administration has decided to renege on its promise to provide the funding to prevent Americans from going hungry? The president has the power to do this. So today, I'm introducing a resolution condemning Donald Trump's decision to pay and enrich himself with your tax dollars. You got that right. He's going to pay to enrich himself nearly $250,000 from Donald Trump to Donald Trump off the backs of the American taxpayer. And if my Republican colleagues who like to stand up here and talk all about cutting costs, cutting wasteful spending, if they want to practice what they preach, they'll support my resolution. They'll stand up to Donald Trump and say, finally, with the gold-plated dinners and the ballrooms, etc., that enough is enough and it's time to put the American people first. So let's show the American people that at least this chamber still knows a difference between serving the public and serving yourself. So let's pass my resolution right now, today. We can do it. So, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to the consideration of S-Res 470, which is at the desk. Further, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Florida.
Mr. President, reserving the right to object. Today is day 28 of the Democrat shutdown. A shutdown caused by Democrats' complete hatred of Donald Trump. They are spending more time attacking President Trump than fighting for the American people who are harmed by their shutdown. Democrats have voted for weeks to deprive our men and women in the military from getting their paychecks. They're stopping Capitol Police, federal law enforcement, air traffic controllers, essential federal employees from getting paid. In just a few days, 42 million people receiving SNAP benefits may not get the benefits they rely on because the Democrats will not support the continuing resolution that most of us don't like. It's the Biden funding. Clearly, my Democrat colleagues are willing to do anything they can to attack President Trump instead of voting to reopen the government and stop this recklessness. The American people are sick of the political games at their expense, and so am I. Therefore, I object.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President,
Senator from Nevada.
this is extremely disappointing. By blocking my resolution, Washington Republicans are saying that they approve of Donald Trump paying himself a multi-million-dollar settlement using taxpayer dollars. Millions of Americans are missing their paychecks, worrying about paying their bills, losing their SNAP benefits, and wondering if they're going to be able to afford their health insurance next year. My Republican colleagues have lost their way, should be ashamed of themselves for standing up and allowing this lawlessness to happen. Because, like I said, my Republican colleagues like to stand up here and talk about cutting wasteful spending. This $230 million, I would argue, is exactly that. So if they want to practice what they preach, they would actually support my resolution, stand up to this wasteful spending of the president, again, approving himself to pay himself nearly $250,000, and we can show the American people that all of us know the difference between serving the public and serving just one individual, President Trump. I yield.
Mr. President,
Senator from Florida.
if my Democrat colleagues want to make sure people are not getting harmed by losing SNAP benefits or going without paychecks while they show up to work day after day, then they would vote to reopen government. Unfortunately, they've elected to not do that. So I hope my Democrat colleagues will come to their senses and vote this week to reopen government.
Clerk, call the roll.
Ms. Alston-Brooks.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I move or ask unanimous consent the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
And I move to proceed to the motion to reconsider the cloture vote on October the 14th and a motion to proceed to H.R. 5371.
The question is on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to.
Mr. President, I move to reconsider the cloture vote on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. Motion is agreed to. The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to proceed to calendar number 168, H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes shall be brought to a close upon reconsideration. The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alston-Brooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt-Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Collins. Mr. Coons. Mr. Cornyn. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton. Mr. Kramer. Mr. Crapo. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Curtis. Mr. Daines. Ms. Duckworth. Mr. Durbin. Ms. Ernst. Mr. Fetterman. Mrs. Fisher. Mr. Gallego. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Hassan. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Hickenlooper. Ms. Hirono. Mr. Hoven. Mr. Husted. Mrs. Hyde-Smith. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Justice. Mr. Kane. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kim. Mr. King. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Langford. Mr. Lee. Mr. Lujan. Ms. Lummis. Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell. Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody. Mr. Moran, Mr. Moreno, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray. Mr. Ossoff. Mr. Padilla. Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters. Mr. Reed. Mr. Ricketts. Mr. Risch. Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds. Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Thune. Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young. Senators voting in the affirmative: Budd, Cassidy, Grassley, Husted, Johnson, King, McCormick, Moody, Risch, Scott of Florida, Sheehy, Thune. Senators voting in the negative: Baldwin, Blunt Rochester, Booker, Cantwell, Duckworth, Hassan, Kim, Rosen, Schiff, Welch. Mrs. Murray, no. Mr. Kane, no. Mr. Barrasso, aye. Ms. Markowski, aye. Mrs. Blackburn, aye. Mr. Reed, no. Mr. Wicker, aye. Ms. Warren, no. Mr. Daines, aye. Mr. Schumer, no. Mr. Langford, aye. Mr. Mullen, aye. Mr. Warner, no. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Mr. Rounds, aye. Mr. Marshall, aye. Mr. Kelly, no. Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mrs. Hyde-Smith. Aye. Mr. Graham, Mr. Graham. Aye. Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Ricketts. Aye. Mrs. Fisher, Mrs. Fisher. Aye. Ms. Collins, Ms. Collins. Aye. Mr. Curtis, Mr. Curtis. Aye. Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Sullivan. Aye. Mr. Durbin, Mr. Durbin. No. Mr. Schatz. No. Mrs. Brett, Mrs. Brett. Aye. Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Van Hollen. No. Mr. Murphy, Mr. Murphy. No. Ms. Klobuchar, Ms. Klobuchar. No. Mr. Young, Mr. Young. Aye. Ms. Ernst? Ms. Ernst? Aye. Mr. Paul? Mr. Paul? No. Mr. Wyden? Mr. Wyden? No. Mr. Hoven? Mr. Hoven? Thank you. Aye. Ms. Smith? Ms. Smith? No. Mr. Merkley? Mr. Merkley? No.